Okay, hey everyone, this is Chira, and today I'm going to be talking about curating what type of information you consume. I'm sure we're all aware that we live in the information age. You can literally find anything online. You can watch a drone blowing someone up. You can watch a cooking video. I mean, you can watch some guy arguing on a political topic he knows nothing about. You can watch some random Greek guys argue 400 years ago and their exact words and how they argued it. You can literally see anything. And I think it's great. I think it's great the fact that you have this much information, but it makes it all the more important to curate what actually you take in. Okay, I mean, studies show that the average screen time of Gen Z teenagers now, well, I guess it might be Gen Alpha that are teenagers now, but you get the point. Average screen time of teenagers now is 7 to 8 hours a day. That's fucking insane, all right? That's crazy. When I was fucking young, right, everyone was like, "Oh, you spend more than 3 hours online, get a life," or whatever. It's crazy how normalized this has become. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Of course, life has become online, so of course we spend a lot of our time online. But I think it just goes to speak on how much more important it's become to really fine tune what information you're taking in. Here's a couple of studies I want to mention. So Shivonen J, 2015, Media Consumption and the Identity Projects of the Young. Here's a quote from it, right? "The time spent with the media, the specific style of consumption, and contents consumed are all meaningful elements when making sense of oneself and others." Yeah, the study found that it was quite important. Young people definitely it definitely affected their sense of self. Here's another one. Schematic review, social media use and identity development. Here's a quote. "Taken together, it is apparent that the activities adolescents engage in on social media that are associated with identity and development, not the amount of time spent on social media. Further, authentic self-presentation is more common among adolescents with greater self-concept clarity, while fictitious self-representation is related to identity exploration." This one says that it's a little more nuanced, that it's more of how you interact with the online space than just the amount of time you spend on it that changes your identity. But again, it's like, hey, what you're spending time and interacting with online is strongly developing, or at least partially influencing, the identity you end up developing. And Media Practice Model, Steele and Brown, 1995. This isn't really a scientific paper, but it's a scientific theory showing that media use interacts with identity, and adolescents especially incorporate some media messages into their personality. This is pretty widely cited among a lot of people, and I will put all of these links in the description, so you can go check these papers out yourself. And this isn't it. I mean, I'd encourage you to go look, just in general, about this topic. I'm sure there are more papers out there. I just did a little bit of research, nothing crazy, but I found those pretty easily. That yes, media does in fact influence, your personality. I know there's the saying that it's like, hey, the three most common people you spend your time with, I mean, that ends up kind of becoming who you become, right? Like that strongly influences. And well, I mean, a lot of times we spend, more time online than with our friends even. So I don't know why people would think any different. So just to sum up things that we've been talking about. Yeah. So your media usage definitely influences who you become, what type of person you become. And you really have to understand, in knowing this, that it's very important to curate and to pick which type of media sources you're engaging in, because, of course, if you're engaging in just a bunch of brain rot shit, your brain's gonna rot, right? You're gonna have no concepts of fucking anything. Of course, if you're engaging in extreme political rhetoric, either left or right, doesn't really matter. I mean, you're gonna turn out to be a largely extreme and hateful person. If you get into these weird echo chambers, you're going to stop being able to relate to the masses and become very extreme and weird. And even if you just interact with just some random, YouTubers or content creators or Instagram, whatever the hell, Even if you interact with these, just random people that are live streaming on like a regular basis, and you're going to start to become more like them. So it's very important that you decide, you pick and choose, like, who do you want to become, and really figure out, what type of content you want to watch. Okay, so I think that ties into a very, very, very valuable point, that a lot of this online content is decided by algorithms. And you really need to be aware of this, because the algorithm, I mean, if you're largely not really searching content, and if you're, let's say, just seeing whatever the algorithm gives you, who you become is going to be largely responsible to whatever programming is put into these algorithms to keep you hooked. So, I mean, in that case, right, you're not really responsible for who you're becoming. And I think that's a really scary thought. And I think more people need to acknowledge that, hey, if you're just letting your feed run rampant and you're not really like selecting specifically what you want to watch, if you're not using the search bar constantly, or if you're not actually like looking for what you want to watch and just kind of get on whatever site you like and just go through your feed or your algorithm and just like pick videos from there, you're not really in control of who you're becoming. Maybe you are partly, but like you're losing a large part of your agency there. And I think that's very concerning. So I'd highly recommend, even if you do spend a lot of time on these sites, to try to search what you want more. Try to like actually think about, hey, what do I want to watch? I mean, personally, for a while on YouTube, I removed the homepage and the recommended from like a web extension. And that way, the only way to like find a video, right, was to search, and then you wouldn't get recommended. So after that video, you'd have to search another one. And I found, like, when I first started using that, I just stare at the search bar like, fuck, I don't even know what I want to watch. I just open YouTube instinctively just to be entertained, and I really don't even know what I want to watch. And a lot of times I'd even close it out after, because I'm like, fuck, I just opened this, like instinctively, not really just wanted to be entertained with anything possible. So, be careful about algorithms. Now, apart from this, right, a lot of us spend, or at least anecdotally, I think, maybe some of you are fucking reading Albert Einstein, I don't know, right? Maybe some of you are reading the theory of relativity on a daily basis, but I think a lot of us are watching more just like lifestyle videos of just people kind of living their daily life and playing video games or doing whatever hobby and talking about this or that random bullshit, or maybe watch political commentators and they just give their opinions and everything. A lot of the online space really isn't very high quality information. I mean, you're largely just getting someone's opinion on something. I mean, rarely are they actually going to like give you like legitimate information, like say, hey, I cited this and that and the other. I'm not saying that's bad, right? But if you're consuming, content on like, for 8 hours a day, right, it might as well be high quality. So, if it makes you feel good, it makes you feel good, right? Like don't try to fucking min-max your content quality. Don't be a loser, right? But I mean, you might want to add some more books in there, or some more studies, or some more, I don't know, philosophy. Come up with what you like, but try to get some more higher quality information in there. So try to go as directly to the source as possible. Like let's say if you're into politics, right, and there's some specific instance that people are talking about, try to find the original source video and come up with the conclusion on your own. Or if someone's giving an opinion about a topic, I highly suggest you to look at the literature. Go to like Google Scholar and type in what type of topic they're talking about and see what like the literature says. I mean, it could agree with them, it could completely disagree with them, and they could be speaking out their ass. You don't really know until you go look into some of this more verified information. And of course, like even with studies, even scientific studies, a lot of them can be funded and done a little backwards just to get something passed, but that's a lot less likely than a YouTuber speaking out their ass, right? So just try to find some more higher quality information as well. And just overall, as some kind of closing words, right? What goes in is going to come out. So if you're watching a bunch of bullshit, there's going to be a bunch of bullshit that comes out. Your personality is going to degrade if you're watching like degrading content, right? If you're watching a lot of hate-filled stuff or a lot of ignorant bullshit, you're going to end up a hate-filled, ignorant asshole, even if that's not really who you are, and especially like if you're just, going by the algorithm's whim. A lot of it takes you into extreme circles because that's what gets that emotional engagement. The extreme topics, like people completely yelling, and that righteous anger you get when you see someone being wronged and whatnot, and eventually you end up just an extreme hate-filled person. Doesn't matter which side. Doesn't matter if you think you're right or what. It happens on both sides. Happens, well, both sides politically, but I mean any direction in general. Just be very careful of what's coming in, because eventually that's going to be who you become. So if you're watching wholesome content, you're going to be more wholesome. If you're watching educative content, you're going to be more educated. And if you're watching ignorant content, you're going to become more ignorant. So just be careful. Just be careful, especially with the algorithms. Just as a whole, I think it's just important to know how much information we take in, and just really like sit back and start saying, hey, maybe I need to start picking and choosing what of this is really going to go into my psyche, so I don't end up a strange, hate-filled, racist or bigot, or even if you're against those things, right? I mean, you could just end up a very hateful person in general, a very closed-minded, rigid, hate-filled person, or you could just largely just your brain just rots as you watch comfort content, right? So just be careful. There's no right answer. I'm just saying, be aware of what you're watching. Just be real cautious of what you let into your mind. A lot of us just kind of watch content to watch it, but we're not really thinking, what is this doing to me on a daily basis? What type of reactions are going to happen because I continue to watch this content, right? Like, who am I becoming while watching this stuff? So I think all those are questions that we just need to start asking ourselves, and really just be more aware of what we're watching. So, as a whole, thank you for listening. If you made it this far, thank you so much, and good luck with that. Thank you.